Snake is the game that is played in Season 14 of Jet Lag the Game. Unfortunately, it's widely regarded as one of the weakest seasons of the whole show. The creators of the show even agree with the fans.
I think bottom is Season 14. The worst season is the one that just happened.
Now, I do personally agree with a lot of the criticisms of this game, but I've also been deep in thought thinking there's gotta be a way to make this game work. The basic concept of who can make the longest line seems like a perfect fit for this show, but unfortunately the game we had just didn't work out as well. And I do want to figure out a way to make this game work. However, the creators of the show have not shown much interest in repeating Snake, and as far as I can tell, there are no fan games. So, I guess it's up to me to try to fix Snake. And I suppose for all the newcomers, I should introduce my channel. Well, my name is Marie, this channel's called Og Streaming, I mostly do animation, I have an animated series about a 12-year-old girl who controls people's dreams. I recently released an episode that's 37 minutes long about her fighting zombies and people's nightmares during Halloween, and for Jet Lag fans, I also have a series called Views from the Window Seat where I film the beautiful scenery from public transportation such as ferries. Alright, now that I've got my advertisement out of the way, let's get started. It's worth taking a moment to go over the two other round-robin Jet Lag formats. Tag is a game where a runner tries to reach an end location while chasers try to tag them. It's a fast-paced game that leads to both intense and funny moments. Hide and Seek is a game where seekers try to find a hider. It's much more deliberate and slow-paced. Snake has elements of both of these games. A snaker tries to make a long line using rail, while two blockers try to stop them. On the one hand, the creators have talked about this being a game about speculation, kind of like Hide and Seek. On the other hand, they have mentioned that they wanted the game to feel much more like an actual game of Snake, where the snaker had to avoid obstacles that the blockers were putting down at a good pace. The problem is, as many have pointed out, is that the game incentivized people to stay in place and not do anything that would reveal their locations. This slowed the game down. I think the game did a good job at providing guessing and speculation, but it didn't do as well with the intensity, a la Tag. I have two broad ideas on how to speed the game up, and the first has to do with the trackers. On the Layover podcast, they discussed how they've now had different games where different teams, pursuers and pursued, had trackers, and they also discussed how different games had the pursued either move or be tracked. They wanted to do a game where the pursuers, or in this case the blockers, had to guess where someone was while the pursued was moving. However, because both the pursuers and pursued in this game didn't have trackers, they avoided moving, slowing the game down. My thought to fix this issue is to have the pursued, or the snaker in this game, be able to track the pursuers, or the blockers, but not the other way around. Think about it. The blockers in the game will still have the difficult task of trying to find the moving snaker, but the snaker will have more information to know where to go, which also indirectly gives the blockers information on where they might need to go. As an example, let's use the first run in the game. Sam and Adam went to Osong, but because Ben didn't know whether they went to Osong, he hesitated to take a high-speed train. But what if he knew they were in Osong? He'd have the information he'd need sooner, and he could make his decision sooner. Interestingly enough, Sam and Adam would also have known that Ben knew where they were, so they would have more information to predict where Ben would go. This admittedly would make the speculation in the game more easier. But on the other hand, it would speed up the game, and you can imagine how difficult it would be at a location like Dongdaegu. It might also give the snake too much power, unless... Snake reminds me of the first game of Hide and Seek. One of the biggest problems with that game was the curse system. Due to the way it was set up, hiders were incentivized to go for one big curse at the end of the game. Since curses were this game's version of challenges, That basically meant we'd get one challenge per round. For the second season, and the home game, they fixed this by using a card system. This made the game loop more what they wanted.
And also just from a gameplay and even narrative perspective, like we want the game to be punctuated by curses, right? We want it to be, you do a little bit of play, you get hit with a curse. You do a little more play, you get hit with a curse. Like, that's fun for players and it's more fun to watch. And so, like, we needed a system that was going to do that as well.
Snake suffers from a similar problem. The Snakers are incentivized to avoid the challenges in this game, like roadblocks or battles. This isn't the case in other games. In Tag, you have to complete challenges to get coins, and in claiming games, you have to complete challenges to claim a territory. Sure, you'll want to try to complete easy ones or bend the rules if you can, but there's still a need to complete challenges to make progress. In this game, a Snaker is incentivized to avoid challenges, not to mention the tracker issues mentioned earlier. There are a couple ways to fix this. We could do a coin system like Tag, where a Snaker needs to get coins to be able to travel. However, this was what they used in another game that got criticized for its complexity, Capture the Flag. However, I say we take a page from the New Zealand season, and we have a system where we put challenges in the path. Let's say at every node, a Snaker has to stop and do a challenge. If they fail, they get a time penalty. Maybe blockers can have the power to upgrade a challenge to crashable if failed. I think this method ensures that the game loop stays about where we want it to be. We'll get about the right number of challenges per run, and as a bonus, they could even throw in a few location-specific challenges in nodes where people are most likely to visit. This section is less about game design and more how the game played out. Sometimes jet lag games have exciting and legendary moments. Other times the game simply plays out. Snake had some exciting moments, Sam and Ben falling behind because of the South Korea president's impeachment being a great example, but it wasn't quite as much as some of the other seasons. Now, you can't always manufacture moments like these, but you can make them more likely to happen, so I'm gonna go over a few ways. If we compare Snake to Capture the Flag, both games are generally regarded to be too complex, but I would argue that Capture the Flag has more of a fun factor. The crew has even said that this is one of their favorite games to play, and you can see it when they play the game. While they said they enjoyed playing Snake, they were also stressed due to the game's difficulty. I imagine that this problem could be solved simply by playing the game again. They'll have the experience. One thing I noticed in Capture the Flag was that, since local rail was a possibility, it allowed players to go deep into cities like Tokyo. I theorize that the Snake game map can be tweaked to add metro local lines. It doesn't have to be all of them. I think adding just one or two that go by cool sites would help keep the game interesting. It would also solve the problem of the game frequently being played out away from cities, as it happened often. Sometimes we just need the players to play different. I would have loved to seen a secret block used. I also agree with the Baggage Claim podcast that I would have loved to see more people try to go head first into challenges.
I think the strategy that I was really excited for, and then we got the closest to it at the beginning of Sam's run, was the Snaker just straight up moving onto the high-speed line immediately.
Yes.
And then running for it. Because what if the blockers also had to get to the high-speed line in their 1 hour of lead time? So what if they just don't have time to finish setting up the roadblock that they're doing? Or what if they don't draw a battle challenge, or just don't have time to do something on the high-speed line? Even if they're there, if the Snaker just goes for it, they might just get run down.
I completely
And I would have really
agree.
liked to see the Snaker just full send it immediately in their run.
There are a couple other rule changes I'd recommend. First, they had a rule that the game ended as soon as there was less time than the time the current first place run took. Given that the winning run was not that time efficient, I think it could have been adjusted so that perhaps only a percentage of that time counted. Say 75%? I also believe that we could allow a battle challenge to take place if the Snaker and the blockers are on the same train heading towards a battle challenge. I also believe that neither snakers nor hiders should be allowed to hide in the bathroom. This video so far has focused on fixing Round Robin Snake, but what if there was a team version of the game? Let's play a simulation. The two teams start out at the best point on the map, flip a coin to determine who goes first, and then head in opposite directions. However, when one crashes into another, they regenerate and can try again, and whoever makes the longest snake at any point in the game wins. I think it's an idea worth trying. The crew has said that they're not too interested in repeating this game. This doesn't mean that we, the fans, can't try our own. I even went out of my way to make a few snake maps. Here's one for New York City, and here's one for Washington, D.C. I tried fixing the issues of the radial networks by adding a few bus routes, and I added ferries for fun. Just as a disclaimer, I do not live in either of these cities, so if there are safety issues or anything else wrong with these maps, please feel free to adjust them. Have fun!